understand. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Happy to be back. This is exciting. I love spending time with you and Angelina and being in this space. So
just hanging out. And I want to let everybody know that this show, we talked about this on the phone. We were discussing how things are going to roll out, and we want to do these monthly shows together. Just me and you.
Yeah.
Like what you call, which I love, brain dump, just talk. And we were talking about what can we need a theme, right? So we started thinking, how about disconnect? Mm-hmm. So it's as right or ironic as it is. We're on a podcast, we're on a digital platform, we use social media to get these conversations out there. But I'm telling the listeners now, we're going to talk about disconnecting from us, disconnecting from your devices, disconnecting from everything, and trying to remember where we were. Yeah. You know what I mean? And how important this is to be conscious of that, where we were, right? Because there's a reason where you're going from where you were, and you can't get stuck in a digital present, right? We're too consumed by consuming content, right? So we understand. I think that everyone's grateful that TCL is just pumping out shows, and we're getting 3 shows out a week now, and we're recording so many shows, which is great. I'm doing this because I love the conversations. I love meeting people. I love having these conversations to educate tradespeople on different levels of construction, personal, professional. I love all that stuff, but the shows are going to get uploaded. They're going to be there. So if you consume it today, or if you wait a week and then focus on your family, it's still going to be there. So I'm literally telling you not to listen to us so quickly, like wait for us, right? Because it's always going to be there. So that's what you and I are going to talk about today. And it's really just a continuation of what you've already started with your own show, right? How it's really important about people first, right? Like we keep on, there's more and more people coming out of the framework, let's call it. How trades people, mostly from what I gather, because I haven't had a tradeswoman yet come at me and say, I'm having difficulty. I got a lot of tradesmen having difficulty navigating the waters of construction life. That's as simple as that, right? And it was as recent as I was speaking with Adrian the other day from CRC. Is it CRC? Yeah, back to memory. And he's got his own things that are going on. He's just consumed, and he just doesn't know how to handle things and stuff like that. So it's just I'm talking to Ian from Gale Force and Masonry, and he's got a lot going on as well too. So it's like all of a sudden Adrian was kind enough to say, listen, give me my number. You can call me, contact, and they got talking. And I'm like, this is great. So it's like, I'm making these introductions. I'm having conversations with them. I'm sitting down, we're talking, and it's the best thing we could do. Like, honestly, don't you think that that's the best thing that a tradesperson can do is just start the conversation?
I think the best thing a human being can do is reach out, right? And thanks, Manny, for bringing this up, because it's such a meaningful conversation. And disconnect can be dramatically different to everybody. I don't really give a shit what you want to do. Like, hey, we all love that dopamine hit because that's how our brains are wired. Yeah. Bing, buzz. I want to be connected. What happens if you're not? What changes? How does it change things?
Slowly changes things, huh?
I think it can slowly change things, or it can dramatically change things. I know for myself, for me to disconnect. I don't always recognize when I need to disconnect. I don't, right? Because we get so consumed with and this is the work I do, and I'm here to say, like, I'm vulnerably showing up, saying I'm a human being too. I have blood running through my veins, and I still screw up. It's not about perfection.
We all do.
It's never about perfection. It's about the recovery phase. Something happened. True fact. It happened. What's the story in my head that I make that mean? Because there's always a story. Holy shit, I was late. Well, because it was traffic. No. Like, I was late. End of story. And how do we separate? How do we disconnect? Dramatically different for somebody else. For somebody who says, oh yeah, just, let's put our phones down and just not check our phones. For somebody who's always on their phone, that's like one of the hardest things to do. Right? So it's really easy, and I say this with passion and conviction, it's really easy to look around social media, the internet. Hey, let's disconnect, let's do this. And what we're talking about today, Manny, is what that looks like for everybody.
Yeah.
Because, hey, listen, stop drinking coffee. I love drinking espresso. There's no doubt about it. If you said to me, stop drinking coffee, somebody told me that. Actually, a naturopathic doctor said, can you stop drinking coffee? I said, no.
Does that include espressos?
Yeah. He's like, okay, well, is it going to kill you? I'm like, no, it's not going to kill me. So how do we pivot around it? Let's go down to 1.
How many do you have a day?
3.
That's not excessive.
No?
I don't think so. I've had my first one right now. I'll probably have 4 or 5 today.
Yeah.
I think I'll be fine.
Everybody's
I'm not a doctor, but no. Okay, so first of all, quick shout outs. John McNeil Construction. I'm wearing his tee. He was kind enough to give me 2. I actually like the colors. I like the feel of it. John, I'm going to be asking you what cut, what style, where you get these, because he's actually feeling really nice. I like these tees, right? So they're great. Simple, great. So thank you for the tee. Second shout out I want to do is Chris from Richardson Electrical. He actually sent me a message earlier today. Sorry. I'm like, it's a blur, man. Like, we're recording on Thursday. What day is today? September 21st?
Today's 21st.
Yeah, so people get an idea of what's going on. So we're recording September 21st, but then it's not going to get posted for a little while. But he sent me a few days ago, he sent me a message. Manny, you've been pumping them out. Stellar podcast, one after another. The roundtables have been incredible. I enjoyed the generator talk and the GC roundtable. Going back to the GC discussion, I think designers and architects get off way too easy. I see a lot of shitty drafting, bad dimensioning, and just lack of responsibility. Don't disagree with you, Chris. You as a GC should have a clause stating that they have to make as many site visits as it takes to get accurate dimensions and details on the drawings, so that you and all other trades can execute their work correctly. They are the ones sitting at a desk with the coffee and have all the time in the world to check and make sure everything is as accurate as possible. We are the boots on the ground executing. We don't have time for this. I've spoken about this a number of times on the show, and it's just, I don't understand why there is such a wall separation. Nobody wants to hand it off, and maybe that's why it's been difficult to get a lot of designers on this show, because this show has primarily spoken to a lot of tradespeople. But this is, I know designers are listening to the show. I know homeowners listen to the show. I know architects are listening to the show. And we're going to have another architect on the show coming up soon. And I'm looking forward to that, because he was open and honest about the conversation. He knows there's that line drawn there, right? So that goes back to work. So I just want to just give him a shout out, because he's a huge fan. And I'm like, come back on the show anytime, man. I want to talk more about this stuff. So that's that. But now
let's just pump the brakes there for a second, because I want to volley over my unsolicited opinion too. Sure. I agree with that. Like, where did it? What happened in life where we had to draw a line and say, "I'm not going to site"? No, you're a human being, man. Like, show up.
The building
help
is not
somebody.
being built in the office.
So help somebody out. Now, does it get back to, well, the client didn't pay for that? Well, that's a different conversation, right? That's a different conversation to say, well, then shame on us. Let's get better. You want me to build a building? Then here's the cost, right? Are you willing to pay for that? No. Okay, well, that's going to limit the site visits. Okay, well, here's the impact downstream. It's that vulnerability, that transparency from the top that frustrates the shit out of the professionals doing the work.
But the clients never pay. I don't know a single GC that has in their paperwork how many site visits they're going to do. And technically speaking, you get the cafe GCs, or you get certain companies that have set up themselves with site supers, and you'll see an owner or a GC never show up on the job site. It's just an assumption at that point. But why is it that architect, engineers, designers have a pay fee structure with every site visit, where a tradesperson or a GC can't do that?
Right.
If we do that, then we're going to be looked at like we just ran over their puppy, and we have to explain why we ran over their puppy. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like another blue collar stigma. It's just attached to it. All of a sudden, we expect you to be on site because you're building it. So you have to manage the trades. So you should be there. You shouldn't be doing it from an office. And I'm like, well, you're building a structure with engineers, structural components, and architects and designs, and then you're actually coloring, putting stuff together, trim, molding, all kinds of profiles. Well, you should be there. It shouldn't be on a little sandwich board that you just take a picture of it and send it in an email or put it on a doc and then send that off to the group of people that's attached to the project. No, you should be on site. Is it really, like, Jonathan, I want to ask a stupid question. Is it because they don't want to put any steel toe certified boots on? Like, tradespeople wear their boots all the time. I've seen tradespeople wear their boots like to functions, family functions and everything. Like, it's just part of them. I've seen guys get back into their vehicle at the end of the day with the harnesses on, not realizing they're driving home with harnesses on. And then they get home, they realize my harness is still on. It's like, it's ingrained in us, right? But then when it comes to the other people that are not on the site all the time, I got to put my boots on? I got to put a hard hat on? I go, yeah, it's safety. We're just trying to be safe here. It's all it is.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted to bring that
Yeah,
up.
thank you
because
for it.
No,
Yeah.
I like those messages, and I encourage everybody to keep on sending me more messages. And I've gotten messages from homeowners as well too, and I like that. I like that whole navigate. Like it goes back to what we want to do here with these monthly shows with the two of us. Is like we just want to talk about something that's going on in the construction life, and just go here's some solutions, right?
Yeah.
And so let's get back to disconnecting. And I think that the first thing that everybody should do is have a social cleanse. It's plain and simple. I know as difficult as that is, figure out when that's going to be, whether that's a monthly thing or a weekly thing. I'm surprised sometimes when I hear certain GCs let their clients communicate with them 24/7, 7 days a week. I never allowed that because I wanted to be disconnected from that conversation. I know the wheels are spinning. Mm-hmm. You know you're problem solving. You're a tradesperson. You are on site building something. It's not working out. So then you go home and your wheels are spinning.
Yep.
But you know what's happening when those wheels are spinning? You're ignoring the loved ones in your family right in front of you. Your wheels are spinning about a site that you left, and you're literally 3D modeling in your head, running, how can I solve this? How can I figure it out the next day, the next week, the next month? And meanwhile, it's almost like white noises around you, your children, your significant other, family members, like your duties, your priorities, like family life priorities. And I'm like, I think you need to just pump the brakes at that point and go, hang on a sec, I'll figure that out. Because we're good. We're experienced. So we know that we'll get back on site, we'll figure that out. We're problem solvers. Tradespeople are problem solvers. But we're ignoring the problem at home really badly. How do we begin with that, Jonathan? Like, how do we...
That's a great question, and I'm going to say something here that sort of it's real raw. It struck a nerve when you were talking, and it's probably going to piss some people off because I have some friends that do this, and I'm here just to challenge the status quo and say, what happens if? And what you talk about, hey, we're at home and you're on the couch and your family. Let's say your family's there. I have 2 small children and a wonderful wife, and they're sitting there, and it's a very different message if Cassandra, who's 7 years old, this is real, guys, this happens, right, is on the floor playing, and she's like, Dad, you want to play with me? Sure. And I'm sitting there on the playing on the floor on the phone. Am I with her? Absolutely not.
No.
So, Dad, are you with me? Are you with me? Yeah. I can say yeah, but organically and subconsciously, I'm sending out the message to her that I'm not truly there with her. So what happens if you put the phone away? And this is true. Like sometimes she'll say to me, like, can we play? Yeah. And you know how sometimes it's painful, guys. Sometimes it's painful to sit on the floor. And you know what this little girl wants? I'm using this little girl. It's a real life story. She wants to be in the same space. And it can change when you say, look, Cassandra, I've got 20 minutes until this happens. Is 20 minutes enough time? Like when you're vulnerably transparent with somebody, does it change? Right?
I don't. My concern when we know young families are doing this. Yeah. When I say young families, I guess young parents are doing this. Is there a cause and effect later on in life?
Right.
Are you teaching your children that it's okay to ignore the person that's actually giving you time? That whole analogy back and forth where it's like if you're late to a meeting, you're not supposed to start the conversation by saying, I'm sorry. Right. You're supposed to start with, thank you for making the time to see with me. And it's unfortunate that I couldn't hit this. But like are we teaching these kids to be that way when they become adults, which we probably are, right?
Subconsciously, sure you are. You're sending the messages out. Put the damn phones away. At a meal, put your phone away. I don't care how many times your phone dings or buzzes. Put it on the counter. Put it 20 feet away. Like you're having a meal with somebody. You're having a coffee with somebody. Be present with that person.
I did something interesting maybe a couple of months back where I like playing hooky on life sometimes.
Sure.
Right? So it's like I parked in a certain spot downtown Toronto and I started walking because I hadn't walked around in Toronto for a little while, right? So I just started walking. And the first thing I noticed is that everybody was on devices.
Oh, yeah.
And then you start noticing that people crossing the street, jaywalking or legally walking across the street are on devices. You get some vehicle drivers honking the horn because they're not paying attention and all of a sudden that could be an accident, whatever. But it was just amazing how all these heads were just pointing down looking at these devices, whether they were using them to navigate their path to get around the area, which I don't think is the case. I think the majority of them was just consuming content, right? And we see this on job sites as well too. And I'm seeing more of it. That's the thing about it. So it's like life is right in front of you, right? It kind of reminds me of like the end of Ferris Bueller after the credits. Like it's over. It's actually over. Just go home. Like go home and do something now, right? I think you should start making a list of, maybe it's a balancing act. Maybe it's that life balance sheet where you look at, okay, how much time did because we get notifications on our phones every week. Apple's really good about that. Your consumption is this many percentage points higher than it was last week or lower or whatever it is, right? Maybe the amount of time you spend on your phone just consuming it, and I'm talking about business-wise, just consuming just content to day-to-day, Kit Kat break in the afternoon. You spend that exact same amount of time not on the phone. Is that a difficult thing to do? It's going to be really difficult, but like exercise, there's always a begin. As you get older, sure, you might have a hard time doing 10 push-ups, but I guarantee you do 10 push-ups today, you'll do 11 tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You do 12 the next day. You'll get to 20, no problem. So if you want to sit there and consume content just to kind of waste your day away, which I think is a bad thing to begin with, and I'm guilty of it too as well. Trust me, sometimes you just want to disconnect.
Human, of course.
But I think that as long as in the back of your head you're going, okay, if I'm wasting this much time here on just everyday BS that's online, then I need to focus on the same amount of time with my family and then be disconnected from that device and spend time with them. But are you going to be in the back of your head, Jonathan? You're going to be thinking, okay, who texted me? Who DM'd me? What email came in? Are you going to be like, and then you're not focused on what's going on right in front of you?
Listen, that's part of the growth phase, right? After the struggle is where the growth emerges. Of course you're going to struggle through it because what's the narrative? The first narrative that's going to come to mind is, holy smokes, I'm this person. We label ourselves, right? I'm this person in this organization, whether it's my own business or somebody else's business, and I cannot. Sorry, Angelina, for knocking the mic there. I cannot. It's such a terrible word. I cannot neglect this person. Really, is that text message or that email needs to be responded to right now? See, there's something really interesting. What is email? Email is really somebody else volleying for your time. They're sending you their to-do list and say, do this for me. Cool. Does that mean I need to react right away? What happens if I let it sit for 24 hours?
I was going to say that. First thing first is get rid of all your notifications.
I shut them right off. There's no reason.
Every single one.
No reason you'd be distracted. Because it takes 20 minutes for your brain to come back around after you look at something like, oh, hang on, guys, hang on. And then it doesn't matter that I just read it. I can't come back to this person. It's going to take me, on average, 15, 20 minutes for your brain to recalibrate. Because now all of a sudden I'm like, what did Manny just say to me? Oh, yeah, you were talking about the zucchini that we grew in the garden. You're not present.
You're a parent. Do parents still mark trim with the height of their children?
We do in our household.
Okay, you do that. So parents still do that? That's still a thing?
For our household, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and then if you were to move, are you going to take that trim with you?
I love that question. Actually, when we painted the kitchen, there's this...
You painted around it?
Yeah, we painted around it.
Totally.
Right? There's this 8-inch wall that says, here's where the kids are, right?
I had an idea years ago where I was like, barnwood was becoming big years ago, and I started thinking, what if you could actually start building these barnwoods that allowed you to do this and do that, and then if you did move, you take that piece instead of having to take the trim with you, right? Mm-hmm. But that's the being in the present. Being in the moment. That's what I was trying to get at with that, right? So if you get rid of the notifications and all of a sudden you start focusing on just that you should look at your children and your significant other as they're the device that you should be paying attention to, not the device that you're running your business with, right? But then we talk about emergencies, Jonathan.
Okay, so emergency. So
like what's an emergency in construction? My eyes an emergency is literally flooding, fire, like dramatic emergencies. A choice of color or a choice of profile or a choice of anything like that, these are not emergencies.
No.
They're not. But we know clients want these answers right away. How do we handle those?
You set boundaries. And I'm going to say this, and this is it, folks. Like, you set a boundary. What does that boundary mean? If it's mission, these are the words I use. If it's mission critical, like you cannot solve this problem without having my input or having me hear this, we have a call code. You call 3 times. Right? Hang up, call again, hang up, call again, hang up, call again. That's mission critical. Now, I say that, and so everybody in my orbit knows that. Unless it's mission critical where you cannot solve this problem, that's the call code. Holy shit. And even if my phone's on Do Not Disturb, I'm sharing this. This is what I do. If even my phone's on Do Not Disturb, you have your favorites. Your Do Not Disturb will still come through.
Yeah.
Now, you have to set the boundaries because some human beings will squeak in a little bit, right? They'll sometimes take advantage of that. And you have to call them out on it. Like, hey, Michelle, was that really mission critical? Like you called and you called and you called again. Oh yeah, Jonathan, what about this color? Michelle, thanks for calling. Please, understand. You have to authentically have these conversations and call people to task. Because when you do that, they'll understand that and then respect that. And then now I can be present with you. My phone's in my pocket as we're having this conversation. It's on Do Not Disturb. My wife knows, and sometimes you're going to say like, hey man, I'm expecting this call from my wife. So if it comes through and she knows the call code, she'll call 3 times, Manny, I'm going to excuse myself, take this call. That's what you do. In the meantime, the phone's in your pocket. Phone's on vibrate. Shut all the damn notifications off. And then when you're with people in front, ask real questions. The what questions, the how questions, the what do you think questions. Not like, and I mean, it's really easy. Like, how was your day? Good. You and I have talked about this. Good is such a shit word. It's like fine. And
good enough.
And I love what you said before. Fine. Okay.
Okay.
The fuck is okay? Tell me more about okay.
Is that AY or just okay? Like it's, what it kind of, I like that you have a mission control kind of thing. It kind of reminds me of back when I was younger in my 20s, you're driving for the first time, you're just having fun. You actually get a decent car. It has some power. What do you do as a driver, as a young driver? You're just booting it. You just race. You're sewing in between the traffic, right? Yeah. But as a young person, and now you understand it more as an older person, what happens when you're sewing through traffic, right? You're just like, you're racing. You're thinking you're going to get to point B a lot faster than anybody else.
Right.
But all of a sudden you get at a stoplight or you get to your end of your destination. And then a few seconds later, who rolls up beside you? The older person or the calm person that actually was just driving the speed limit the whole time. So what did you really save at that point? So I compare it to like all these emergency phone calls where we didn't have to have all that stuff. You could have called. We could have had a conversation. A text could have came through. I would have got to the text when I got a point to it. Because at the end of the week, all the scope that we planned on doing, we got there.
Yep.
We both showed up at the same place, same time. But you went through this dramatic race in traffic. We didn't need to go through that. But why do we do that? Priority is like we're the most important person on this planet.
Okay, so consider this. I mean, you can relate to this, and I'll get it. And I'm smiling when you said this because if you remember the out of office, the pink message books, they were pink or yellow. Yeah. Somebody was out of the office, and it was like, "Is Manny there?" No, he's not. Let me take a message. That went on that little pink slip or yellow slip.
The carbon, whatever.
Yeah, the carbon things. And what happened with that? When Manny was back in the office, he responded. It could have been 24 hours or 36 hours later, whatever it was. It wasn't like, now we expect instantaneous response. Again, set the benchmarks and the baseline. Folks, understand when I'm present with somebody else, the most important person in front of me is that person or those people.
Do we have an advantage, Jonathan, where we both, more me than you, because I'm older than you, we come from a life where we didn't have these devices? We come from a life, and just even driving in, I was joking about how been on road trips where we had Full Sail's maps, taking up the whole passenger seat and following the route that you're going to go. When how is it today? It's completely different today, right? So it's just like I look back on how it was.
Sure.
Like I still have cassette tapes and I still have VHS tapes and I have a cassette player and I have a VHS player and it's kind of funny that maybe one day in the near future I might feel nostalgic enough that I'll pop them in and I'll watch something that's like strobing and moving and it's crispy popping and whatever and I'm like, I actually kind of like that. I miss that. Like it's just I'm aware of what it was like. And I think that's why when I see all this digital content that's consuming so many people, I revert back to that and it gives me calmness. But then when you get the younger generation that comes into construction, you get the 20-somethings coming in, it's rock and roll digital. They look at all these tools like opportunities, but I go back to they're ignoring their family. And there's certain people that are listening on the show right now that I'm not going to mention their names. They're like telling me sometimes I haven't seen my significant other in 3 weeks. And I'm like, what do you mean? I haven't communicated, I haven't texted, I haven't talked, I haven't done nothing. I've been consumed by work. I'm just trying to finish a job. And I'm like a parent, you're going to miss those opportunities. Like I can only imagine that, like there's nobody that's gotten older has ever said that they've lost work because they want to focus on their family and regretted it. Nobody can tell me that they regretted it, because those are moments that you have in a photo album now, right? Now you can take your digital device and take all the pictures you want, whatever, or use a Polaroid, you know what I mean? And have these moments in life. And when you are older and the kids are out of the house and now you're traveling and you're enjoying your life because you built what you built, you can remember what was life like. Yeah. And I think that we're a nice bridge at this age. We're a nice bridge to this, but I think we need to somehow try to teach this younger generation to find that calmness. And hopefully they can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to come back to it. So something that sort of bubbled in my brain as you're talking about this, so then this is an interesting thought. In your mind, you know, the instantaneous connections of the world, does it bring people closer together or push people further apart?
Apart.
Yeah.
100%. I do not look at any media these days. I stopped looking at media for over a year now. If someone sends me anything that's currently going on in the media right now, I don't look at it. I don't care to look at it. I don't give a shit about it. I'm not interested in it. I see media and this consumption of what's going on supposedly in the world. Mm-hmm. I see it as just a pure distraction. That's all it is. It's just like there's far greater things that are far more important than all this, everyone trying to get to the soundbite as fast as possible.
Well, this is interesting. This is exactly what we're talking about. So when you talk about that for a year, like what shifted for you then?
My time.
What do you mean?
I realized my time was more valuable. It's really simple. It's like you come across certain videos and you see certain things and you talk to certain people. And if you want to break it down, like I've spoken about this on the show, men are going to live to their early 80s today.
Yep.
Women are going to live 3-4 more years after that, right? Yep. That's just how that's how it works, right? 100%. So it doesn't matter. So if you look at it that way, then technically speaking, a man has 82, 83 summers, winters, falls, springs. That's it. Women have 2-3 more of them. So now, how many of you already gone through? As a kid, it was like super fast. You saw the seasons in a blink of an eye. You knew exactly what everything, you were on the school calendar. September came, you started figuring out what your first week of clothing was going to be. Your parents helped you out on all of this other stuff. Now you get your first job, same thing. Your first place, everything's the same. So you start planning all these things. But at some point in your career consumed you. And then you forgot about all these things. And then all of a sudden you realize, hang on, I'm 40. I've gone through half of my summers, half of my winters, half of my springs, falls, half of your Christmases, half of your birthdays, right? So it's like you start paying attention to how valuable time is. You start realizing, okay, someone sends me a little media bite that goes on. I might pay attention if it's a death in like an actor or celebrity or something that someone that I respect or something that I might pay attention to it. But I give a few moments to it and that's it. But if it's like a story, something went on, or I'm not giving it time because my time is more valuable somewhere else. And I started thinking about going back to the 10 push-ups, 11 push-ups. If you give yourself that time to yourself instead of being consumed by content, imagine all the other things that you can come up with and think and talk. Do we not miss conversation with another person without a device between us? Or a ding notification coming up. How many people are sitting home? Listen, I made it to dinner, honey. I made it. I brought this. I brought flowers. I brought all this stuff. Let's sit down, have a quiet meal. Kids are quiet. Everybody's quiet. Let's have it. And all of a sudden, the last thing you want is ding, ding. Somewhat of an emergency is going on with work, right? Whether it's hers or his or both, doesn't matter, right? So it's like completely disconnect from that. So when you treat it like a corporate office meeting, where everybody's walking into an office, big boardroom, you're leaving your devices outside because you don't want your competition overhearing the conversation that's happening in this thing. So treat your family as secretly, as important as that. So everybody, devices out, room gone, and guess what? It's literally candlelight, food, great meal, and conversation. I think that's where we have to revert back. And whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, old or whatever, do it and stick to it. And I'm not saying you should do it once a week. I don't think once a week's enough. I think you should do it every evening. I think we should go back to the days of you get home. I don't know about families. I think I can remember as a kid, maybe in my teenage years is when we stopped eating together as a family.
Right.
And all of a sudden you start getting older and you're like, no, I'll eat outside. I'll eat in my bedroom. I'll eat whatever, out front step or whatever. I don't want to eat, sit down with family. And I don't know how many families get together and sit down and eat together, because I know the kids are like, their brain is elsewhere. They want to be, okay, what did my friend just text me? What did I miss on social media? You didn't miss anything, but you're missing life right now. Listen up, guys. If you love top-line products and are interested in a dealer opportunity, you're going to want to hear this. I recently installed a Box Gobbler wall insert from MB Sentinel on the garage wall adjacent to my front porch to make a secure locker for my package deliveries. Let me tell you, the user experience is pure freedom. I can now make returns right from my home and I don't even have to be there. Even knowing what it was supposed to do from the get-go, it still made me smile when I experienced my first delivery. If you want to see the scope of work the install requires, you can find the video on my socials. So check them out, mbsentinel.com, or call them directly for dealer details at 1-800-910-4251. And again, that's 1-800-910-4251. How do we do that? How do we achieve that? How do we convince this younger people? I think it's easier, not easier. I think the older generation has an opportunity to fulfill that. I don't know about the younger, because I don't know. I just know that you're on a job site, everybody's got a smartphone. When I got started in construction 15 years ago, a handful of people had smartphones. People still have flip phones. Yeah. I'm starting to see people, I guess, regress back to flip phones. Maybe they're doing that for a reason. Yeah. So then it takes longer to do a text. You have to use one number to get 3 letters or 4 letters, whatever it is, right? So I don't know.
I think it starts with the awareness, and this is why we're having the conversation, right? It's especially the last several years, the human to human connection has regressed. I think of, and help me out here, the comedian, Italian
Sebastian, yeah. Moniscalli?
Yeah, well, whatever, yeah. Right? He has this really wonderful skit that it can relate to, coming from an Italian descent, where it's like you had this, cake in the fridge that nobody ever taught, right? Because it was like, just in case the neighbor comes over, just in case, right? And you could never sit in this room, and you could never, like, that's just in case somebody comes over. Nobody rings the fucking doorbell anymore.
And if they do, it's connected to a digital device that's got a camera.
And then what happens? Shh! Nobody move.
Yeah.
Pretend like we're not here.
We're not here.
Right? And Sebastian, he talks about that extremely well. And we laugh about it. You know why we laugh about it? Because it's real. Because it happens. Right? So whatever is going on that device, there is nothing more important.
We're only here for so long.
Yeah.
And I think if you start figuring out how much time we really do have, whether you're a GC that's just constantly working, you get your 4 or 5 hours of sleep or whatever, then you start your day and you've got your family life, your construction life, you got all kinds of stuff that's going on. You're going to blink and all of a sudden that's going to be done. And I'm not saying to ignore your brand building, your purpose and what you're passionate about. I'm not saying ignoring that. I'm saying that the way you're conscious at some point in everybody's life, you become conscious of money. And you start managing money. You start realizing, how can I make money grow? How can I be more efficient with it? How can I save more? How can I prepare for the future? I think you got to do the exact same thing with time. I think you got to look at, where are the best places for me to invest my time? And then get compound interest from time. That's what I think you need to figure out. Everybody has to do that individually, though.
There was a movie, and I know you're a movie guy, so maybe you can help me out here. I don't remember. I think it was called something about time. I think it was called, and what it was a father and a son. And what was really interesting was every time this individual walked through this closet door, he went back in time. And the whole movie sort of progresses about the busy day-to-day life. And every once in a while, this father would step through this door, because it would be like a pause of time.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you're talking about Frequency with Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel. Were they in 2 different times?
Maybe.
Yeah, I got it.
It's just, it's so similar. Like, this gets back to, we have to envision, I've talked about this in the past, and I'm going to say it again, it's that living obituary. Like, at the end of life, what do you actually want? Right? It's not about, I get shivers because this is, I don't talk about shit that doesn't happen. This is real. We were away this summer at a cottage in Peterborough, and it was beautiful. And up the street there was a cemetery. I haven't spent time in a cemetery for a long time. I'll tell you, I went for a walk through that cemetery several times. It's freaky, man. Like, it really confronts you when you start reading tombstones that are 100 years old, 100 plus years old. There's nothing about anything that these individuals did.
Work.
Nothing about
accomplishments.
It's like we miss, and you start to see like, holy shit, this person died at 21. This guy died at 40 years old. And it really level sets. And then I'm telling you this because then it comes back to at the end of life, it's that living obituary. You start today, like envision what I want somebody to say at the end of life. Not, you know, Jonathan made billions of dollars and he had all the toys and all the widgets. It's empty and meaningless.
You mentioned that before in the other show. Like you talked about that living obituary where it's like, write it out, actually take the time to write it out and then go live it.
And review it, folks. Like,
all the time.
I keep it in Evernote, and it on the dark moments, because we go through cycles of life. On the dark moments, I'm like, what am I really doing this for? What are my value words? Like, there's you know, when you start to think of, there's other work, but the point is that come up with a whole list of words that are important to you, write them all down, and then zone through them and come up with 5.
You bring up a good point where it's like a life without dark moments and a life without ups and downs is not a worthy life, right? We have to have these moments. It's important because we have to be challenged to figure out how to move forward from these moments. But you get a lot of guys that, including myself, when are these dark times going to end? Like, it just feels like time is frozen at that moment. And it just seems like it's been going on for a day, week, month, a year. And you're like, I don't know how much longer I can handle it anymore. And so you get a lot of those moments. So then what people do is, and I want to talk about this, I want to get into it, they turn to vices.
Of course.
And I think they turn to vices because it's human nature to turn to a vice because it's easy to turn to a vice. Whether that's a digital device, becomes a vice, or it could be an alcoholic, it could be a drug, it could be whatever you want. It could be gambling, it could be any of that. So you turn to that. But that's just, it's a recipe to destroy the time that you're trying to get back. So how do we communicate with somebody that's possibly in there, considering that, trying to get out of it?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is cannot help somebody who's not ready to be helped, right? And some people will say, well, until they hit rock bottom, they're not going to want to help. I'll challenge it and say, no, they don't have to hit rock bottom. You can bring rock bottom up to them, right? And like sometimes it's like, hey, what are you doing? Holy shit, man. What are you doing? Stop for a second. We have to stop people flat, but sometimes we get too. I don't want to say that. I don't want to offend them. I got to stay out of their business. No, man, like, you're not okay. I'll tell you a real life story, right? I'm who I am because of the great people around me. My wife is one of them. This is real. This happened the other day. Life happens, and you get so inundated in with all the, I could be doing this. I'd like to get this done, and all this happens. It was a Sunday night, and we had a ridiculously busy weekend, and we, as everybody does. And she looked at me and she's like, "You're not okay." What does that mean? Like, go for me. I like saunas, sensory deprivation, showers. Like, I just in our home, fortunately, we have a shower, and I have a thinking room outside the shower with, it's literally a room with whiteboards on it. And what happens is, and I journal in there, and I do a whole bunch of tough work. Because here's the thing, folks. There's no magic pill. There's no matrix magic pill. You got to do the hard work.
Yeah.
You got to do the hard work. And so it's the people around you that say, like, she, in this case, Karina said, Jonathan, you haven't hit rock bottom yet. So I'm bringing rock bottom to you. Get out. Like, tap out. She tapped in and I tapped out for 3 hours. It was like I went downstairs and I was in that sauna. And from that sauna, it was like extreme heat to ice cold shower. Extreme heat, ice cold shower for several hours. You know what it's like? It's exhausting. And it really makes you uncomfortable. And you really start to think. So sometimes you got to look at somebody and say, you know what, man? Like,
but it disconnects you from what's
that's
consuming
disconnection.
Yeah.
My phone was not even anywhere near me. Not even anywhere near me. And then what happens out of that is you get mental clarity. Now, it would have been really easy for me to pick up my phone and say, I just need to disconnect and watch a movie. Sometimes, fine. We have to start to analyze our habits, our rituals and routines. If I'm always reaching for that coffee or that drink or that, digital media, how well is that serving me? Is it nurturing or is it nourishing?
You got to be honest with yourself, though.
You got to be honest with yourself.
You got to tell yourself that it's actually not nurturing my life. So should I continue doing this? And you got to catch yourself. I guess it's no different than having a drink when you shouldn't be having a drink. You just catch yourself going, maybe I shouldn't be having this drink. Maybe you pour it down the drain this time, right? Yeah. And that's how you start. You might relapse. I mean, we always relapse, bro. But I guess it's also, is the West partially to blame that we're so, I mean, you're Italian, I'm Portuguese. We're from a different world where things were greener and calmer and you walked everywhere. Like you actually embraced buildings and homes that are centuries old and sitting outside at a table that's just a table. It's nothing fancy, whatever, and just hanging light bulbs. Like it's just simplicity. But here it's about people that are going around the city that are showing off such expensive items, talking about this is their new favorite place to have whatever, consume food, drink, whatever, party and shit like that. And I'm like, they may be presenting that they're living the best life and the best years of their life, but boy, is it quite the performance.
Yeah.
When I'm always in awe of when I go someplace else and I pay attention to the elderly. They have such a simple life, like a simple drink, a simple treat, a simple meal, birds, wind. It could be raining even, like drizzle, whatever. Maybe they decide they're carrying an umbrella. Maybe they decide to open it. Maybe they don't decide because they don't mind being hit by a little bit of rain. That's not here. I think here is also a consumption. Just being in such a busy city like Toronto and other urban cities, people are thinking that if you're not there, you're not in the in club, so to speak, right? And it goes back to high school times where like you had the segregation of different people, the jocks and the arts and all kinds of people, right? And like you had to be a part of something. No, you didn't have to be a part of anything. I'm telling you, when you travel, pay attention to the elderly and see what they're doing. And they're smiling usually when they're walking around just in a so-called busy city in that small little village. They're happy. They're pleasant. They're more than enough willing to engage with you and speak with you. They probably walk around no different than I walk around looking at everybody with their heads down going, what is really going on here? Cobblestone's as beautiful as it is. It doesn't look that beautiful, but they're staring at these devices, right? So I think you need to look at other places in the world and why certain people are happier. I don't think the majority of people here are happy.
No.
I don't think the majority of people in construction are happy because they're letting their construction life consume their personal life, which you shouldn't. And I go back to the beginning of this show where it's like, we're telling you not to listen to this. We're telling you not to engage with us on this. We're telling you that this is here, but you'll get to it. It always will be here. So I love the fact that you get new people finding the show because people are making people. So they're going to grow up and they're going to get into construction and they're going to be like, I just found this show called The Construction Life. Yeah, that was about 50 years ago, when we got started. And I get it. And what's funny? It's like high school. It just repeats itself. Mm-hmm. Every student goes through the exact same thing that we all went through when we went to high school. Yep. Whether you're, grade 9 all the way to graduating and then you get into post, it's the same thing. We all go through the exact same things, but now we have bigger distractions. That's all it was. The difference when we were in high school, it was notes being passed.
Yeah. And it's like, in our world, this is so interesting, right? It's like different distractions, right? Bigger. When I was in high school and you were in high school, your high school, my high school, that distractions were huge. In my world, they were like, holy shit, this is earth shattering. And now you look back and go, that was a joke, right? But now there's. It
wasn't that critical.
It wasn't. This is where. Here's something to consider. I love what you talk about Toronto, and I'm saying Toronto, are people happy?
No.
Look at construction. I want to use Vancouver as an example. I know
Okay.
a few people quite a few people who work in Vancouver. Vancouver's culture, my understanding, and anybody out there can validate this and verify it, is dramatically different professionally. At the end of the day, call it 4 o'clock, you know what happens to that phone? It goes down.
Shuts down.
You know what happens? They enjoy recreation life, bicycle riding, mountain climbing, whatever that is. And Friday is a Friday. They don't look at that device. If I send you an email at 5 o'clock on a Friday, you're not responding till Monday, not even looking at it. So what happens there? You know, us as Torontonians go to Vancouver and say, what the fuck? And that chatter in your brain is like, this is ridiculous. I want my answer. And like, no, they've clearly set the boundaries. This is what, and so this could be a form of disconnection, right? We don't have to start huge, folks. Start small.
But you get Torontonians actually saying, well, they've got the mountains. You can go skiing, you can go swimming, you can go sailing in the same day and all this other. Okay,
Bullshit.
so all you're doing is just coming up with excuses.
You're coming up with excuses because, like I said, you go downtown Toronto, go sailing.
You can do the exact same thing here, right?
Go for it. I mean, Ontario is huge. We could go for a drive for days and not even hit the top of it. You know, like here's the thing, right? I think how far Sud. I don't know. My brother goes hunting somewhere. It's like 26 hours. And he's not even at the top of Ontario. I'm like, holy shit, 26 hours, right? Where the hell they go? I can't remember now. What do they? And you know what happens? Anybody who does that too. Why do guys hunt? I say guys and girls. Why do people hunt? Because you go in the middle of nowhere.
Because you're disconnected from
the device.
device.
Don't call me. You ain't going to get me.
You know what's going to happen is that you're in a foxhole of some sort. You're in a tree or something like that. And it's just you and another person, maybe 3 people. And guess what? You're just having a chat. You're just talking. I miss those days. We're just screwing around. When we were teenagers, we would walk around, right? Yeah. The odd time we would, tip over a porta potty. It's just because it was fun and we just did that or whatever. But that's what but you were also having these conversations, right?
So, and you learn, you learn so much when you connect with somebody. We all have shit in our lives.
Yeah.
We all have shit in our lives.
So why does it stop, Jonathan? Like, why is it, like everybody, the whole saying, as you get older, fewer friends, right? Mm-hmm. So by the time you get, I guess, in your 50s and 60s, you maybe have 2 or 3 good friends in your life, right? But in high school, you had a dozen. And now it's just, you disconnect from them at that point and you start realizing that you're different paths. Now, there's different things that we're talking about here. It could also be that they're not going down the same path that you want to go down, right? Or maybe vice versa. It's the same thing, right? So, and also you truly find out who really cares about you. That whole mindset of, are they excited when you fail, or do they secretly happy because you failed at something because they never tried it themselves, so they're pleasantly happy because you failed at trying, and you were trying to get out of our failure club. So then I'm like, okay, well, that's not a friend then. You push that person off, and then you get older and all of a sudden you don't have many of those people. You have fewer people around you that actually encourage you to try and try again until you keep on succeeding. At some point you will succeed.
Right.
So it's just like, I'm trying to figure out what, I don't know. I don't know if it's an age thing. I think it's just, it happens to people, whether they start their life, their family life early or older, later. Like it just is, right?
Yeah, I don't know that there's a right or wrong or good nor bad. It simply occurs, right? And many times it happens organically. It's not like, oh, well, man, he pissed me off, we're not going to hang out anymore. It doesn't happen that way. It's just life.
You don't hear from the person.
You just don't hear from them.
Didn't help with the pandemic.
Didn't help.
Because then you had, and we clearly know, and it's been discussed already, about the division. That's all it was. It's like you literally were separating everybody on purpose, which is now we're trying to reconnect. And it was interesting that on the weekend we did shows with Saskia was in town, and we had a little espresso show. And I love that before and after and even during, everybody was just shooting the shit and not talking shop. No, we were taking the odd picture here and there just so we can have that, and we were sharing those images. But the majority of people, for the majority of the time, were just communicating with each other.
Not on their phones, right?
Not on their phones.
Yeah.
They were just communicating. And I was like, I spoke with Joe about this afterwards, and I think it's because of all the pandemic years and all that bullshit that everybody went through. We didn't really have an opportunity to reconnect with people. And so it was good to see that devices were not the forefront and conversation was the forefront. I've gotten better with conversing with people because of this show. I was always a teacher, one student at a time on the job site, and I actually liked doing that. And then I was asked recently talking about, when did you know it was the right time to get off the tools? And I said, the moment I realized that I wanted to be a teacher more than a contractor. So as soon as I realized that I had those skills to share that information, leave a legacy behind me, I realized that I didn't want to be doing what I used to be doing. And we're human beings evolve. So it was easy for me to realize, okay, I'm going to start teaching now. And this show for all intents and purposes, is teaching. It's an educational outlet of some sort, right? But it's also like you talked to John McNeil talking about his shirt right now. He sent me a picture over the weekend. We're just getting ready. I always kind of, like, you know this, I always send messages and go, hey, I'm really excited about getting back on the show. It's not a generic bot saying that. It's me typing those words in, and I'm just sending it so I can get everything ready going. And I was doing the same thing with John, and then he sends me a picture of this juicy steak. And he went to a friend's restaurant to support. Great place in Barrie there. A bagel, I can't remember the name now. Bagel bar. So, he's going to kill me now. I'm totally forgetting.
You remember where it is?
But it's in Barrie. I don't know exactly where it was. But what was interesting to me is outside of the food, and it was steak and fries, right? It was such a juicy steak, like a beautiful steak. But he tells me, he goes, yeah, me and the missus, we walked there 45 minutes. We had our meal, and then we walked back. They didn't have devices in their hands. You know what they were doing. They were either enjoying the silence or they were enjoying the conversation. But it was an hour and a half of valuable time, like extremely valuable. They could have hopped into the truck. They could have drove there. They could have had the meal and then drove back. But the meal was that much better because of that walk before and after.
Yeah.
That reconnection of that.
Well, then it set the context. You know, this gets, you're giving me shivers as you're talking about this, because it gets back to something that you've mentioned, and I loved it, and we'll continue to talk, is the alignment.
Yeah.
Alignment in life, right? So in this situation, you're realigning your bearings. You're recalibrating that compass. Like, who the hell is most important to me? Do I need my phone right now? Do I need to figure? No, I need to connect with this person, and we're gonna do that, and we're gonna walk. And sometimes we're probably gonna say, shit, nothing, right? Nothing.
When was the last time you walked the boardwalk in Toronto, Lakeshore? For all you Torontoians listening. I did it recently, that's why.
Yeah, it's been, I'll tell you, the last time that comes to mind for me, I did a date day with my wife.
Yeah.
And it was super cool. It was so much fun.
It's a long walk. It's a nice walk.
Oh yeah, we had this. I'll tell you, we had this huge plan. Here's the day, and we're gonna walk, and then we're gonna go for dinner. We didn't make it to dinner. It was like 4 o'clock after. She's like, I'm exhausted. Like, let's just go home.
Well, for me, it was a beginning part of criticizing the patchwork in the boardwalk and how it was done, and absolutely just painful to look at the lack of workmanship there, because it was just done half-assed or whatever. But once I get over that hump, I'm just enjoying it. But I'm also noticing, back to what we were talking about throughout this whole show, the amount of people just walking on the boardwalk stuck on their devices or stopped at a park bench on their device. And I'm like, you got the lake over there, the sun setting over there, you've got trees and greenery over here, and you've got a walk, like a wide 12-foot, 14-foot wide boardwalk. And it's a nice early evening going into the night. Enjoy that instead of the device. Some were, but the majority weren't.
3 things come to mind. I gotta tell you, I laugh at this because I ask this question often, right? If there's an alien up above and looking down at our world, fuck are they thinking? Like, to me, it's like they think it's like the Matrix. These disconnected creatures, head down with the AirPods in, no idea what's going on, right? And so, how do you break that pattern? 2 things show up for me, how to break that pattern, because I think we're all wired differently, but some people are really aware and attracted to animals, right? And if you ever see, I'm not an animal person.
You're not an animal person?
No. We have 13 chickens at home, but that's a different conversation. But not an animal person. If you look at a dog, for example, what the hell is it? You know what a dog is like? And I'm talking about a young dog, not somebody who's, because the poor older dog has lived a good life, but a younger dog. Oh, that dog is like excited, looking around. I want to be outside. Let me off this leash. Let me run. He's not he or she doesn't give a shit about, he doesn't care that this person, he's going to run into this person's feet and he's going to go chase that, because they're simply in that moment, they're present, right? And, the other thing that I resonate to is young children. Look at what happens when there's young, what do older adults and parents do? No, don't do this. Stop doing this.
Yeah.
When you let a kid go and like detach from that, that's when the magic happens. Are you going to do that if you're constantly controlling, directing traffic and like being on your device?
But are you getting more and more parents that are parenting their children by devices? It's like, give them a distraction so then you don't have to parent the child now. Is that happening? I see it happening.
Listen, that's a real. You strike a nerve when you say that, because that upsets me more than anything.
Yeah.
Right. And I
because it calms them down.
Look, like
Keeps them quiet.
there's a lot of people out there, and sure, have we as parents done that? Of course you have. You bring it. You're going on an airplane. Here's this. You're going on a road trip. Bring this. Fine. Of course we. And I don't remember that stuff. Nor do the children.
No,
they remember. They remember. Driving to PEI this summer, singing as a family, singing these silly songs. That's what they remember, right? They remember that, I don't know, that huge downpour. And rather than saying grab an umbrella, it's like, okay, what happens if we don't grab an umbrella? This is it, folks. Like, it doesn't have to be huge stuff. Thank you for asking these great questions. Like, there's no simple answer.
I think
just try something different, folks.
I think some men who ride motorcycles experience those moments again.
Yeah.
Because as shitty as I've been stuck in rain several times on a motorcycle, right? And when it starts, it's shitty. But then after it starts and you're wet. Doesn't matter, right? You're like, I don't care. For the most part, I don't look for the overpass for protection. For the most part, I'm wet. I don't give a shit. Doesn't matter. Soaking wet. It's fine. Like, some of the most soothing, like it's soothing and relaxing at that point.
Yeah.
So it's like you can find your solace in these moments that everyday people would think that this is just uncomfortable and I don't want to be a part of it. But
that's it. It's really
but you should be uncomfortable and you should be a part of it. But I mean, those moments, you can look back on life. You talk about how cemetery and there's the whole Denzel Washington saying about how you never see a U-Haul behind a hearse.
Right.
That whole thing.
Yep,
you can't take any of it,
yep.
right? And I think he also, he was, or somebody else said that, yeah, the Egyptians try to do it. They bury all the gold with them. And then what happens? It just gets ransacked.
Yep.
It gets all stolen, right? So it's just, there's no point of taking all this shit with you, right? So it's just like, go back in your memories, your greatest fondest memories in life from 2009 onward. And I say 2009, that's a magic number because that was the introduction of the iPhone. That was the beginning of a smartphone, 2009, right? That was like just before iPods, like, or just after iPods, and things were just changing, touchscreen, all that shit. And that's when, it's been since 2009 now. And look back on your family bunch of memories or your personal bunch of memories, depending on how old you are. Listen up, guys. If you love top-line products and are interested in a dealer opportunity, you're going to want to hear this. I recently installed a Box Gobbler wall insert from MB Sentinel on the garage wall adjacent to my front porch to make a secure locker for my package deliveries. Let me tell you, the user experience is pure freedom. I can now make returns right from my home and I don't even have to be there. Even knowing what it was supposed to do from the get-go, it still made me smile when I experienced my first delivery. If you want to see the scope of work the install requires, you can find the video on my socials. So check them out, mbsentinel.com, or call them directly for dealer details at 1-800-910-4251. And again, that's 1-800-910-4251. I don't think there's a shitload of memories regarding this device. I don't think they're centered around this device. I don't think a group of you guys were sitting around a campfire and huddled around a little device going, hey, this is really cool. Check this out. I don't think those are the memories that you want. Like Jason from Keystone, he sent me a message and he was like, listen, I want to get together for a cigar little evening. I go, what days are you available? And he gave me some like 3-4 days. And I said, I'm good with all of them except for one of the days. And then we finally nailed it down to Friday. So it's supposed to be happening tomorrow. And I just asked him, who's coming on like to this little get together, right? And so he gave me a list and I'm like, this is great. We're literally going to get together at some place up north, nearby you, I guess, whatever. And it's going to be about a dozen of us just smoking a stogie.
Beautiful.
Nobody's going to be using the device. You know what I mean? Maybe someone might come out and take a photo of it so we have a photo op of it, but that's it. But we're going to literally sit down there and just have a stogie. And we're just going to be shooting the shit. And I don't think we're going to get into the depths of work. I think we're going to just get to the depths of life because the people that are coming, fuck. Unfortunately, I might be the oldest one. I'm quickly becoming the oldest guy in the room, right? But I don't.
That's
give
an
a
honor,
shit.
by the way.
Yeah, I don't give a shit at that point because I think we all see life the same way. The group that's coming.
Yep.
And we're talking about guys, tradespeople that are, I think early 20s, mid 20s, to as old as me, early 50s, right? So it's like if we're seeing life the same way, that's a good sign.
love it.
I think that's a great sign at that point. Yeah, sure, we're smoking a cigar and it's not healthy and all this other shit. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, who cares? Like, who cares? It's not like, so you brought up an interesting point, right? It's those moments in life, nobody remembers being connected to the phone, but you know what they do remember? It's when that Facebook sends you that memory from 12 months ago or whatever it is that says, hey, remember sitting here having a cigar? Or remember that road trip? 12 months ago, you were on a road trip, and then you take that and you blast that to your buddies and go, hey, remember when we did this? Yeah, man, because that's the shit that matters. That's the shit that matters.
And there's a lot of, does this generation even have those moments where we're so glad we didn't have devices around when we were at that age? Because there was some things that we did and we're like so glad that we didn't get caught,
That's
right?
That's right. Look, I mean, that's a whole different conversation, the challenges.
I remember, I remember a few times I'm like so glad there was no camera. As far as I know, there was no cameras. Well, I never got a knock on the door or anything like that, so I'm pretty sure there was no cameras, or maybe I wasn't clearly visible in the situation. Not that I'm a criminal or anything like that. I'm just saying
do stupid shit.
You just do stupid shit. There's some things that you just do I would never do really dangerous, stupid shit. I've done some things, but not dangerous stuff. Like I've never put myself or anybody else's life in peril, right? Like that's a little dangerous, right? They were BB guns.
Where they ended up and what it hit, that's a different conversation.
There was no live ammunition in any of those guns. It's just like we were careful about that shit, so it's all good. And yeah, sure, it was the first time maybe I was buying balaclava, right? You guys can fill in the blanks from that point on. But those are memories now, and I could look back and go, like, why was I always the shit disturber? And then you look back and you go, I can't believe he did that. And I'm like, yeah, but people still talk about this shit.
And you were present. You know, this is the whole
point.
Present. This is the whole thing about disconnection.
Present.
In that moment, you were present.
Yes.
And you were talking about, riding a motorcycle in the rain. I haven't had the pleasure of doing so, right? And what happens when you first go, oh shit, this is shit, and then you just ride. It's no different than flip this to the construction professionals out there where you're digging a trench and it starts to rain.
Been there.
And that sucks. And the first little while, you're cursing, and then what happens? After a while, you're soaked, you're covered in mud, nothing else matters. You're not checking your phone. That's all.
Your rubber boots are stuck in the mud, and you know that if you keep pulling, the boot is staying and the foot is going. And then you're trying to figure out how much mud is going to get inside the boot because guess what? You haven't finished the work. But you stop for a moment. I remember vividly. I remember stopping for a moment going, this sucks. Like, this royally sucks. I still wouldn't want an office job.
Yeah.
Even though as much as this sucks, I still wouldn't want an office job. Because the office job, you know what? It's soul sucking. I don't give a shit. I think if you do, and I think that's why a lot of people are in construction. Every day is different. You don't go into the office and punch a clock and go into your cubicle and sit down and data entry and do this and that's your Monday to Friday. That is soul sucking in my, like, what's the saying about they pay you your salary to basically pay you to forget your dreams?
Yeah, you're living somebody else's dream.
Tradespeople try to live a new dream every day, right? But I think these days, I think a lot of tradespeople are forgetting about their personal lives. And so they're almost becoming that soul sucking cubicle office job.
Yeah.
But you're responsible. You're letting that the same way that you can avoid that.
It becomes awareness, right? It's no different than driving a car and it's like, holy shit, if I want to maintain this vehicle, I got to do regular routine maintenance, check the brakes, change the oil, get a car wash, whatever. I don't know, right? If you do nothing, what's going to happen? It's going to rust. It's going to fall apart. It's going to break down. And then what?
You know, it's a sad thing, Jonathan, is that if you don't do nothing, the year will come and go and nothing would have been achieved. So if you tell yourself now, when you finally listen to the show, if you tell yourself now that every Monday I'm going to do this, every Tuesday I'm going to do that, every weekend I'm going to do this with the family, if you just keep on compounding that, imagine what your life and your family life and what your professional life is going to be like at the end of that year. You're going to be in a much happier place. You might still have the problems of everyday life, everyday construction life. You still have the problems. A client might screw you over. You might not get paid. You might have delays. You'll still have all those problems. But guess what? You've reconnected with your children. You're reconnected with your significant other. You found opportunities to do certain things. And all of a sudden, you're enjoying life at that point. That's what you should be really looking at. And whatever that enjoyment is, whatever that happiness is, whatever. If it's getting on a plane, if it's walking down the street, how many people at home finish their meal and go for a walk around the neighborhood. Just go for a walk around the neighborhood. Like, how many people do that these days? I still do that. I enjoy doing that. Like, how many people wake up in the morning and I, as much as you love or hate him, Joshua Bigger from Bistan Roofer, every morning he's walking on grass barefoot and he's reconnecting with earth, and it's proven discharge. It's just like, but how many people are doing that? Everyone is just so fixated on get to work, and like, just, okay, everybody's off. That's it. Kiss the kids goodbye. And man,
like, and here's the thing. You and I are not here to tell people you must do this. All we're saying is find your means of disconnect. You can Google like a billion different ways. Find one thing that serves you well and make a shift. Maybe it's jumping on a trampoline for 3 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's try something different. Flip the script. Do it different. What happens if? What happens if your phone gets destroyed? What happen? You know, we think of it. Was it last year or 2 years ago when the world shut down because Rogers crashed? Right? Oh my gosh!
I don't know if I shared this story, but back in our 20s, it's like this. I don't think this would have unfolded the exact same way. But back in my 20s, I had a friend who recently broke up with his girlfriend. And he was having a hard time with it.
Sure.
As every man or woman would have, right? And he was being slightly smart about it, but he ended up at a bar lounge, and she ended up being there too. And she walked in with her new man or whatever, right? So all of a sudden, a fight unfolded, right? He stayed away from it, but then he got jumped, right? So he got jumped and got clipped by a beer bottle. And if anybody's ever been hit by a beer bottle, like, that shit hurts, right? It's hard glass, it hurts, right? And he continued the fight, and then he got pulled away from the bouncers, all this other shit. But then 3 o'clock in the morning, I get the phone call. And I'm like, okay, what's up? He goes, I think you need to come over and just, like, I think I might need to go to the hospital, whatever, right? And I'm like, okay. And so I come over, right? And I come into his room, and his room looked like a horror movie. Like, there was blood everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And then he explains to me what happened, right? And then I'm following all this blood, and I like, what were you doing? He goes, well, I came home, I laid down. He explained the whole thing. You laid down. Okay, so there's all this blood all over the pillow and all of a sudden stuff. So I'm following the blood, and I'm going to his head, and I'm seeing a cavern in his head. I'm like, dude, we're going to a hospital, right? And so we went to the hospital. It's the middle of the night. Young doctors on call. I think he was younger than us at that time. It was, it's jaded now with age, right? So we were in our 20s, early 20s, right? So all of a sudden the doctor comes in and he looks at it and he goes, okay, so what happened? And then my friend looks at me and I look at him and I say he fell, right? We don't want to get involved, police, all this other shit. We're just like, that's it. So he goes, well, it's kind of already starting to heal itself, but I mean, we could suture it up. It's up to you, right? And so I go, okay, well, suture it up. And then the doctor says, well, we can do either regular stitches or we can do staples. And we, again, look at each other. And I go, do staples, man. I've never seen staples. Let's do the staples, right? And so all of a sudden he does the staples and he starts clicking his head with the staples, man. And then he's like, I remember these moments with him, and he still has that nasty star in his head as a result of it, right? But this was an experience. He learned from it. He grew from it. He put it all together, but it wasn't connected to a device. You know what I'm saying? It was about someone reaching out to me, calling me up, going, there, I need a hand or whatever. Let's go solve this up. We have a memory. We laugh about it, and we move on from there, right? That's what I think we're missing these days.
Well, even you know, you're giving me chills sharing that story. So thank you for vulnerably sharing that story. It's that connection you had with that human being.
Yeah.
It's the trust, the organic. Hey man, something's wrong. You get to, and your brain is probably like, what the fuck?
He still has a Quasimodo scar.
What the fuck is going on with you, right?
Because it probably the staples. It probably would have been a lot cleaner if it was sutures, right? But it was just like, I'm not advocating anybody to go into and get to a fight.
But but it's like that connection with a human being.
Yeah.
That afforded that opportunity, that created that memory, right? He blindly knew that he was calling you. You were there for him, without fail, right? You know, and that's what's missing, right?
On a flip phone.
On a flip phone, right? That's what's missing. It's like, where's that human-to-human connection? Listen, everybody's got shit, and sometimes the biggest thing that serves well is simply showing up without any agenda and asking, Manny, what's actually going on? Look, I experienced that recently. Every human being wants to be seen, heard, and understood. And like the things you learn is so
we're missing those
earth-shattering.
moments. Like we're missing those moments, like in I guess in the movie The Town with Ben Affleck asking Jeremy Renner, go, listen, I need your help. We're gonna go beat up some people. We're gonna hurt them. I don't want you to ask me why. We're just gonna go do it. And he just responds by saying, which car we're taking? Whose car we're taking? I know that some of that still goes on in construction today because it's a brotherhood, it's a sisterhood. That we all got each other's back and things like that. I'm not saying that you're gonna go hurt somebody, but we've got a task to do. Let's go take care of it. But like the Flintstones with the working, whistle going off, shut it down. Just shut it down. And now you've got to go focus on your family life, right? Whatever that is, focus on it. If that means that you're picking up dinner, picking up groceries, bringing stuff home, picking somebody up, getting the table ready, getting everything ready, there's no reason, Rhyme, to look at your device while all these things are going on. You don't need to do that.
You miss moments in life.
Yeah, 100% you miss that.
There's something here, and if you allow me a few minutes, I want to share a story because this is not here to sort of like fluff anybody's horn. It's simply here as evidence to our construction professionals out there. They go like, you're not alone. This is what happens. Here's the context, right? Where I had an opportunity to be in Florida with my dad recently, not under good terms. I mean, the hurricane went through.
Yeah.
So we went down and we were looking after our family home and we were much more fortunate than others. So thank goodness for that. This gentleman shows up and he's the guy who looks after the pools on the streets. And you got to imagine most people in Florida have pools if they're in this area, and these pools are destroyed, right, from the hurricane. So this gentleman's been breaking his back for 7 days straight. Wow. He shows up, and I've seen him before. I met him once. A little pickup blasting Red Hot Chili Peppers. Cool song, right? He stops in the driveway, vehicle's running, puts his head down on the steering wheel. Song's blasting. It was a couple of seconds. He gets out. I'm like, hey, man, how's it going, right? And he walks in with a coffee. He's like, I'm fucking exhausted. This thing is killing me. But I'm hardcore, and I got to keep going. And he walks right past him like, whoa. Like, what's really happening there, right? And this is no different framework than happens more times than not. Now, it would have been really easy for many people just to say, cool, like, we've all got our own shit. I don't have time for it. But you can kind of see that something else is going on. So over time, what happens is, hey, man, and I'm not going to mention his name. I'm going to respect him, but, hey, man, what's going on? And you could see, like, everybody wants to be seen and heard. And what actually occurred, he opened up, like vulnerably opened up. He's like, holy shit, man. I went from 84 clients and I had a nervous breakdown. I was like, what are you fucking talking about? He's like, I got 4 kids, haven't seen them. Wow. He talks about some of his challenges in life, how long it took to 16 years to get his visa or whatever it was in the States. Then he's like, he got it and he didn't even feel excited about it. He's going through all this shit. I said, okay, so what happened? He's like, I had a nervous breakdown. I said, what the fuck does that mean? He's like, I went home, I threw my phone under the couch and I hid in my room for a week.
You
right?
just didn't want to deal with it.
Just couldn't deal with it. And we talked and we talked and we talked and we talked. And so what emerged out of that? He's like, well, he says, finally Sunday I get up and I was ready to take on the world again. And I really reduced my clients. Like, do I need 84? I don't need 84. I went down to 60 because it was more important for me to be there for my 2 boys. And he had a knee brace. I'm like, what happened? He's like, I hurt myself playing soccer. But I stopped playing soccer because I don't have time. But this knee's fucking killing me because I'm constantly doing all this shit. And all we're saying, like, when you actually become curious a little bit, just check in, because we all have shit. And could have been really easy for me just to dismiss it. Instead, you're being present. And at the end of it all, you know what he said to me? Thanks for listening. Because nobody does. And I'm like, holy shit, he's right. How easy is it to just, we all got, if I told you my stories and disconnect from devices, folks.
I was recently told a story about someone that's going through some hardships, and then they connected with somebody online through I don't know if it was through the show or something, I can't remember, but from listening to one of the shows, and all of a sudden they agreed to get together at a coffee shop. Just one person was willing to offer a listening ear, right? Because they've been through what they're going through. So they said, listen, I've been there. So they just wanted to listen. And he was really grateful for that person making the time just to listen to what's going on and making some suggestions to help him out, right? at the end of it, they said, listen, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And then he went to go shake his hand. He goes, no, man. Here. And the guy that was listening, here, you need a hug. And he was just shocked by that. But he felt such comfort from a hug versus a handshake. He's talking about strangers here. You're talking about tradespeople that are just, they're technically strangers, but they're not strangers. Yesterday, I was walking around because I was getting my brakes done. So then all of a sudden I had time. And I was like, I could either Ubered it. Again, I could have either Ubered it or I could have walked. So I decided to walk, right? And as I was walking around, there was a construction site, high rise, that was being taken care of, but it was at that closing bell, which is 3:00, right? So guys were walking out of it, and I saw this one guy walking towards me, and I was actually I was wearing my work pants as well too. And so he sees me and I see him, and we just give each other a nod. Like he knows who I am and I know who he is, sort of. We know what each other is kind of thinking at that moment without actually saying it, right? And I think those are valuable moments in tradespeople's lives that don't be afraid to try to connect with somebody that you know you can connect with, because there's a lot of us out there. A lot of us are more than one. That's why I share my number. It's why I respond to the DMs. It's why, sure, it's exhausting. There's a lot going on. And at some point I have to disconnect, right? So I have to do my own disconnecting too. But I think that there's a lot of value in that their tradespeople are looking for those hands just out there, knowing that I don't want you to judge me. And we would never do that to begin with. We're never going to say, you're weak, you're simple, you can get over this shit. It's like, we're never going to say any of that shit. You're definitely going to hear a lot of the time saying, I've gone through that. I'm going through that. I understand what you're saying. I'm helping you. You've helped me. Like sometimes it's just a simple thing as a nod. Like I know where you're coming from. I totally know where you're coming from. And going back to the moto life.
But hang on. Go to the motor life in a moment. I want to ask the question, like when you're walking down the street, head up, and you nod. How'd you feel at that moment?
You feel a sense of pride now,
yeah,
because you're connecting with somebody. So that person's hard day's work, dirty, and it's like, yeah, that's that infrastructure that's going on. Like that, they may be in the shit. They got there at 6:00 in the morning, started their work day. They're wrapping up at 3. We don't know exactly where they're going. Hopefully, they're going and making time for their loved ones as well. But yeah, you feel a certain, like, complete stranger. This is a complete stranger. And it's the same thing with the moto thing. It's like, there's a reason why if you're a motorcyclist and you're riding, you see another one coming at you, you wave. I don't know where it started, why it started, how it started. I don't know. But motorcyclists wave to each other. And I'm sorry, but scooters not included in that club. I'm sorry. They're not, right? The scooters try, but I refuse to. I'm sorry. I'm a motorcyclist. You're a scooter rider. Look for another scooter and you can wave at them, okay? Maybe it's different in Europe because there's lots of scooters, right? There's lots of Vespas there and all that, but that's a different world, right? But yeah, it's just, there's an unwritten connection, I think, between tradespeople. And I think now, with the help of, it's ironic, technology, we're helping each other out now, understanding that there is a lending ear out there. There is somebody that is going through, has overcome it, has found happiness, that you could probably share your story and they might give you some insight. And I guarantee you they will never judge you. Gone are the days, I think, of judging. I don't think people are on site judging anymore. Tradespeople on site are judging anymore. They shouldn't be. If they're there, then let's just stay away from that. Like that, there's no purpose in you being around that judgment environment, that vibe. There's no purpose in that. This
gets back to the alignment, right? Like put yourself with the people you want to be around with, and say, hey, thanks, or like, I'm not in that guy's orbit, and he's not for me right now. Maybe in the future he will be. Maybe he won't be. I don't know.
But stay connected, right?
Stay connected.
Like that's the best thing that I saw, the little get-together that we had here, and we're planning other get-togethers, is that everybody was quick to exchange their contact information. What I'm loving about the roundtables coming in here is that people come in here and majority of them only know them through digital. They know them from following them or seeing their posts or sharing them or listening from the show. And all of a sudden they get to meet them for the very first time. First thing they do is exchange their contact information. Like they want their phone number. They put it into their device. And now that maybe there's going to be an opportunity in the future where they want to discuss something, right? Like everybody hasn't figured this shit out. There's no way. Nobody's figured all this shit out. You never will. You'll spend the rest of your days, you'll never figure this shit out. But somebody else has figured out ways to find happiness in moments in life. That's what they figured out. So if they can help you with what they did to give them a little bit of calmness in their life, then maybe it helps you.
Yeah.
You never know. It might help you. That's all we're trying to do here, right? So I'll never judge anybody. I've always said that, listen, I'll listen to the new kid on the block on this job site. I'll listen to the old school dog on the job site. I will not dismiss either or anybody in between. It doesn't matter at all.
No, I mean, that's the biggest thing. I think there was, I don't know if it was Clifford, we're going to see him shortly. He was
Pegasus,
sharing, he was sharing a story where they're doing their underpinning, and like guys have been doing this for a long time, and the new young guy suggested something. You know what he did? He listened.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, at that point in time, now you're organically connected. Holy shit, this guy actually cares.
A fresh pair of eyes on a problem is a good thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's construction problem, life problem, it's a fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah, because we get so consumed. We're like, oh my God, here's this. Here's what happened. Here's the story.
Yeah.
And how do I get around this? Be vulnerable and share. Man, I'm going through this.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not alone. There's no reason to be embarrassed. We try to hide out, and you know, human beings, we want to stay safe. Staying safe.
What's the alternative, Jonathan? Like, the alternative is that if you don't open up and talk about this or discuss it or reach out and just have it out in the open, I think what happens is you get a lot of tradespeople getting out of the business. Just, I can't deal with it anymore. I'm done, right? So then you didn't even give it a chance to figure out what's truly wrong. You just are saying that if I get out, that's the solution to my problems. Is it? Because I think what's going to happen is that you're just going to get into another industry.
You're going to carry those same things.
Exactly.
You're suffering. What's the alternative? The alternative is you suffer alone.
Yeah.
And that fucking sucks. It's like when you've got, you know, that beer bottle smashed in your head and you suffer alone, that person would have been in misery.
Yeah.
Right? And can't think straight, and you know, you're mission critical, you're trying to create things. Instead, you lean into somebody and say, I need help. Right? So the alternative is you suffer alone, and then what happens? I hope not, but there's a high probability that many of the important relationships around you start to crumble.
Yeah. They will.
Right?
Because they'll look at them as like, you're not opening up, you're not talking, you're not communicating.
People check out. They're like, okay, well, you know, if you don't want help.
There's only so much that people that can help are willing to help. But the truth is that you have to actually take that first step to reach out to somebody and talk, right? So I enjoy, you know, sharing contact information. I go, listen, so-and-so is going through something similar. Just text them. Just start with a text, because a text, it kind of hides you a little bit. But send them a text and go, listen, I got your name and number from Manny, Construction Life, and he just suggested this. Are you cool? Do you have some time to chat? You never know. You might be talking on the phone for an hour or two or whatever with the person, and they're going through similar things that you're going through, and then they might help you with some solutions, right? And if it's worth it, then do it. And then you never know. You might be happier as a result of it, right?
Yeah. With no agenda. You're simply listening with an ear.
We all go through shit, man. Everybody's going through shit. If you're not going through shit, then you're not living a life.
And there's no human being out there that's not going through shit. I mean, the biggest thing, like, our brains are wired to find problems. Why? Because it gives us something to latch on to. Even when there is no, I mean, you know, I was sharing briefly, you know, little stories. Like, hey, a big problem to a 7-year-old is not a big problem to a 42-year-old, right?
You think, Jonathan, it's going to get worse, or you think it's going to get better? I have a concern with the younger generation having a lack of understanding of true communication skills. They are truly disconnected from communicating verbally. Everything is a communication digitally with them. So it's like, is that going to move and make things worse for them to actually open up to people, because they're so used to hiding behind a device to share a written word?
It's a great question. And if I had a crystal ball and could answer, I love it.
I know.
You know what? In my heart, what I can tell you is not under my watch.
No.
I'm here. You're here to make a difference. Like, could it happen? Absolutely. How do we stop that? We break the patterns. We interrupt the narratives. We create the awareness and say, holy shit, guys and girls. Folks, there's a whole life happening out here. Do you actually know what's going on? And that starts with the conversations around the dinner table. What was something great that happened today? What'd you learn? Who'd you help? Not like, hey, how was your day? And then sort of check out, yeah, well, cool. Those might be important questions to learn as well. But then actually like go a couple layers deeper. Whether it be around a dinner table, a sports room, I don't care. Or having a cigar. Hey man, like what's your fucking pain point?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what are you actually suffering with? Not the bullshit I'm collecting. Okay, I can't collect money from this guy. Okay, so what's going on with him? Well, I'm not sure. Well, when you understand, when we seek to understand first, then we can connect. So I think it's up to folks like us and the other hundreds of thousands of people who are on the same wavelength and the same orbit and the same alignment as us.
I think the best thing that younger generation could do right now, if they're getting into construction, is get on the job site.
Yeah.
Find job sites, offer your time, and never show your device. Once you're on the job site, you don't need to show your device. If anything, if it's an organized, proper job site, then things that are required of your duties are already there, whether they're hard copied or digitally, but they're on the site super or the GC's tablet or what have you. That's where it is. But you should not be pulling out your device to find out if someone texts you, if there's a notification from social media. So the younger generation, get on the job site and literally ask the questions and have a communication with people that are on the site, and don't let them see your device.
And you see, you unpack something huge, communication, right? We're talking most of the time, and there's always exceptions to the rules. Hey, Manny, listen, I'm going to check my phone every hour because, my family member's not doing well. Cool. Now you understand. The guy's not being a dickhead. He's checking it because he communicated with you. He or she communicated and said, Manny, this is what's actually happening in life. Now you're connected. Now you're like, oh, how's your dad? How's your dog? Right? We're not saying it must be this way. We're saying like, listen, unless it's mission critical, and if it is, you're going to disclose transparently because you're a human being and everybody understands. And if they don't, well, that brings up a different question. Say, like, do I even want to be around this person?
Yeah.
Get on a job site, connect with people. There's no reason for you to be disconnected.
But also look at this as an opportunity, because then if you do get on that site and you're not revealing your device and you're communicating, you're asking genuine questions, guess what? You're now part of the top 10% of potential tradespeople getting into this business, that brand, and working with really good, skilled people that will look for other opportunities for you to advance.
Of course they will.
Because the word will get out. He or she showed up, never saw their phone once, asked question after question that made things progress, right? And if they can get rid of Uber Eats, all the better. If they don't show up with an Uber, all the better. But I mean, it's like, start off with never showing your device.
Yeah, don't show your device.
You don't need it on the job site. I'm sorry. You don't, right? And then that way you'll have your employers or your future employers really interested in you. And you'll get the you'll totally get the advancements. That's basically it, man. I think we got to wrap it up, John.
Yeah.
Jonathan, sorry. Anything else you want to or we can save it for the next one?
I think we save. I think anything else that sort of shows up, we talk about next time. I think that the last thing is, show up for others. Truly, let's connect.
Yeah.
Truly, if there's one real takeaway, it's remember what happens when you actually show up for the human being in front of you.
It's not about you.
It's not about you.
It can't
Thank
be
you,
about
man.
you,
There's the
right?
biggest takeaway.
Right.
Like, there's that banner for. It's not about you. Period! Exclamation mark. Highlight that. It's not about you.
Go into every situation on and off the job site. It's not about you.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
It's been awesome. Thanks, Manny.
Thanks, Jonathan. Really appreciate it, man.
All right.
We out of here, Angelina.